All right.
Hey, Johnny, how you doing?
What's up, man?
Good, good. Sorry, man. Had to take a last minute phone call on a Saturday evening. I was not planning on that. So,
That's
uh,
okay. It's Saturdays are hard to get everybody together.
yeah, man. And for um, anyone out there listening, man. So I did try to call my buddy Johnny Mac today down in Florida where he lives to um, have him join us tonight, tell his story about what he had, what he saw, some other members of his unit and whatnot in Afghanistan. His kids play sports. They're at the ballpark and they were doing that and gonna go get pizza and stuff afterwards. Again, being on a Saturday night, I apologize, but he did say yes. You know what? He would like to come on. Go ahead and just kind of tell his story about that. Um, yeah, it's a pretty cool story. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
I'm excited about it. I almost didn't say anything, but I really wanted people to know that, I mean, there's a big difference between just hearing you and I talk and then having a really
yeah,
cool story. So I wanted to let people know, but then again, I was like, man, I don't want to
yeah,
I don't want to let them down, but it
yeah,
is what it is.
yeah, man, and so I mean, Mac's a great guy. Served with the 101st, man. He ended up getting wounded himself, he had shrapnel through the neck. He, Purple Heart recipient. In fact, I believe his wife at one point several years back, she was the editor for the National Purple Heart magazine. You
Oh,
know,
that's cool.
yeah, yeah. I think his father-in-law too was served on their board, but he can explain that and uh, and whatnot when he's on and. Um, but yeah, yeah. Every time I think about that, that story and the LRAS 3, and if you're ever, in the military and you use one of those units, man, there's no hiding from that. I mean,
Yeah,
believe me,
like he
yeah,
got a
there's,
really good look.
yeah, there's no hiding from that. So, I know it, what when we first got introduced to using those, right? I remember we were on the range, right, and we had one mounted on so they can either be mounted on a very large, big, sturdy tripod. These things are heavy. I mean, they're heavy, but maybe like 100 pounds. Or what? There's a mount that goes on top of a Humvee or a vehicle. We had them on a Humvee. But anyways, I remember when the trainers were sitting there showing us how to use it. And dude, you're a typical grunt, right, man? I see um, a, what do you call those streams from a airline plane way up in altitude,
Oh
right?
yeah, the Comtrail.
Yeah. So I see that way up above us, right? And of course, and I go to look at it, right? And the guy's like, "Hey, don't whatever you do, just don't hit the laser, all that,
Yeah.
because it meant it will." Yeah, you're not supposed to do that to civilian aircraft. I don't know, man. I mean, it's not like the thing's gonna shoot off chaff or something, but I guess they do have some system on civilian aircraft that knows they're getting lasered. So,
Right.
but
Well, that's always good to know. I don't know
yeah,
what good that's going to do you.
yeah, man. Hey, so I know tonight's thing is on Q questions and answers for us, and
Do you see a? I'm on my phone.
I do see some questions. A
You
lot
do
of
see
people.
questions?
Yeah, yeah. So,
Excellent.
so there's some.
Now I got to it. Here we go.
All right, so someone said you jinxed it. Some good evening from Long Island.
Oh, I see it.
Uh, yeah, I honestly didn't expect it. Jeremiah, sorry about the Afghanistan story. My buddy Mac, I mean, man, I've known the guy for a long time, and it is kind of funny because I remember the first time he brought it up to me is we were talking about spotting scopes one day, right? And um, so he showed me this picture that he had from their right, combat outpost right there in Afghanistan, and it was him and some of the optics that they were using, and you know and all of a sudden, man, he started So I start talking about, my Bigfoot thing, and he's,
Right.
oh man, let me tell you about this. It's not like he was trying to one up me because I saw
Right.
one because I saw one on a live fire range. It's just that, I think that
Well,
kind
he
of get
probably
that.
didn't have anybody that,
Yeah,
he's not like us. He's not,
yeah, yeah,
he's probably like, yeah, my buddy Joe, he wants me to tell this story and nobody's going to believe it, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, we're like chomping at the bit,
yeah,
he
yeah.
has no
I mean,
idea that,
I mean, it is really good just because, he would. I will tell this for those who listen, man. He was not the only person that saw this,
right.
and I know we had done a podcast to talk about it, but man, I mean, when you hear it from him, it's good. It's a good story. But anyways, so back in the question and answers, man. So I know,
Let me look at the chat real quick and see
yeah,
if,
man. But dude, so look, I don't want to put you on the spot, but while we're waiting for someone to
put
write
me on
us,
the spot.
get us get us a good question. So last week, right, you had the corn pile and the eggs go missing, right?
Right.
Get eaten, taken, whatever, sucked up, whatever.
Right.
And so what did I tell you to go try?
The same thing that, we talked about with Miss Paula, which was putting the dirt around she had a scarecrow, and we
Yeah.
talked to her, told her to put some play sand or something around it.
Yeah. I told you to go out there or rake up the bare earth,
You
right?
you are putting me on the spot because I wasn't going to talk about this.
Well, dude, you open it up about Q&A, man, and then I'll
I
start.
know, man. All right, well, here's the deal. After me and Joe talked about that, uh, I went out there. Let me back up. Let me go all the way back to the beginning. So everybody knows I've been having activity. Whole reason why I started doing this because all
Yeah,
the activity around my property.
yeah, behind you.
But yeah, but over the past, I guess maybe 2 months, maybe even a little longer now, I have had activity straight behind the house, like almost not really weekly, kind of sort of weekly. But what it is you go behind my house, it drops down, it goes to a creek, and then the creek goes back uphill. I mean, there's a hill that goes back up on the other side of the creek. Well, from my house to the top of that hill, it's probably about 150 yards. Well, I started looking around back there in particular because there's a lot of trees that got blown down, and I'm like, man, it's looking really good back here for something to hide. It's kind of a pain in the butt for thermals, but I was like, man, they're getting a lot more hiding spots. Well, I went to one spot and that's the day I found the headless squirrel laying there.
Yeah.
And then I looked around and I found some more animal bones. Well, then I don't know when it was, a couple days later, I'm out there explaining the situation where I walked around there, found the squirrel, blah, blah, blah. And then that's when I got the video of the limb getting pulled down, the two different limbs in that same exact area. Well, shortly after that, that's when it was like the next day or something, another squirrel pops up behind the chicken coop. And this one just looks like it just fell asleep and died right there behind the chicken coop. Like nothing was wrong with it. And then there was something else after that. Oh, so then I start going back there like daily. And I do this for probably a month or more. And I go right before dark, probably 10, 15 minutes before dark. I set up on the other side of the hill. Um, it gets dark. And as soon as it gets dark, I'm like looking through my thermal and something just starts running. But when I first see it, it doesn't look like running. It looks like a really big bird. Like that's how fast it was moving, going in a straight line across the side of this hill. And I'm like, what the hell is what? And I hit record. And to me, it slows down and it turns back and looks. And what it looked like to me is that it looked like a juvenile Sasquatch on all fours. And it stopped and looked, and and I put that screenshot and the video up. Now, it's not good enough to 100% say that, but from the way it was moving, the way it stopped, and then what it looked like when it looked behind me and the size, that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
So then I start doing the corn pile. I'm putting corn out for probably about a week, maybe 2 weeks. Nothing's really going on. I go back there, back behind the house to the same, and all this stuff's happening right in a line going all the way up that hill. All these little different things right in a line. I go back there and I find there's like one trail I take to get to that same spot, and right there is the stump. And that stump has a rock sitting on top of it, and that rock looks like a skinner almost. It's like perfectly shaped, like Native Americans would use to, tan hides, is what it looks like. So I'm like, dude, that's so cool, blah, blah, blah. I bring it back and I put it on a stump next to the corn pile. Well, I also add eggs to the corn pile. So now I've got the rock they gave me on the stump, corn pile that hasn't been touched except by deer and stuff. Like, it's gradually, a bag will last probably almost 2 weeks, right? There was probably maybe 4 days left in that pile with eggs. I go out the next day, the pile is completely gone, not one kernel left. All the eggs are gone. And the rock has been moved from where I wedged it down in that stump and moved it. It looks like it was flipped upside down and then moved to another spot. So then that's where Captain Joe says, hey, why don't you do like we talked about before and put sand around or dirt around it? Well, I did. And I put the corn pile out there. I put eggs again, and then I put dirt all around it in like a big 10-foot circle. So there's no way anything could get to that corn pile without stepping on that dirt. Well, what I didn't tell everybody, and I guess now I got to put it up, and I didn't tell everybody because just like I told Joe, I talked to Hank, I talked to Lloyd about it, that no way anybody's going to believe, but I got a track. The very next day, I had the dirt out one night. And the next day I went out there after I got home. My wife said, hey, there was a bunch of deer out there this morning. Your corn pile's probably gone. I go out there and lo and behold, there is a big track like right next to the corn pile. And I'm like, holy crap. And I've been debating this for a week on whether, because number one, I didn't think it would work. Right. Number two, I did not think they would be dumb enough to fall for it. And I'm explaining this to Lloyd, and I'm like, dude, I can't show people that. They're gonna think I'm full of shit. It happened in one night.
Bro.
Like, what are the odds?
So
he says, Lloyd says, you know what? Maybe they did it on purpose. And I'm like, man, maybe they did. I don't know. But I'll put the video up, and I'll put the print up after this, now that you've called me out. But then 2 days later, or however many days, a week later, now we've got the juvenile track.
Yes.
Right there. And it happened at the same time that my boys are down there playing. Yep. My son and my nephew, for the past like 3 days, they'd been playing down there by the creek. And then
so this track that was at the corn pile is a different size than the one that
it's a full-on adult track. It's
okay.
I think it's about 11 and a half, 12 inches long.
Yep. So real quick, because we did get a question about the LiDAR app, the LiDAR that you used on the video. Can you explain that app and whatnot real quick?
Yeah. It's what did I tell you it was? Polycam.
Yep.
Now this is not
POLY cam. Yep.
First and foremost, and I try to give everybody credit where credit's due. That was not my idea. I learned about that app from another researcher. His name's Matt, and I can't remember his last name for the life of me. From Florida, y'all probably know him. I know Marie knows him.
but again,
Anyway, it was his idea,
yeah.
and
Again, though, I mean, that's the good thing about this community. People are willing to share ideas, um, pieces of tech. You know, I mean, I went real high tech. Told you to get some sand and a rake. You know,
well, you
and
know, it worked.
you got a track the next day. You know why? Because you know, I you doubted me. I feel bad. I feel bad.
No,
You
well,
know, I don't get out in the field as much.
here's the deal. When we talked to Miss Paula about it, I knew it was a good idea, right?
Yeah,
But for me, for it to happen overnight, I'm just like, it's sometimes, it's just, it's like when me and Mike Taylor, when we first started going to North Georgia together, he got out there about an hour before I did. And he set his tent up, and it's 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And he says he's laying there and he's hearing rock clacks back behind the tent. And it's close enough to where it's making him a little nervous. Well, I show up probably 15 minutes before dark. Um, he tells me this. And I'm like, really? You're hearing rock clacks? Cool. So him and I are walking around gathering firewood. Not 10, 15 minutes later, uh, from the top of the hill, we hear whoop, like just the loudest, most obvious whoop. And it was the first one I'd ever heard.
like a TV whoop.
Yeah, like a TV whoop,
Okay,
but better, like bass, everything, right?
okay.
And it's coming from a hill where there's no people on this hill. So this whoop goes off, and I turn around, I look at Mike, and I'm like, an owl? And he gives me a look like, no, you idiot. You know that's not an owl, Like I was, as obvious as it was, I was trying to talk myself out of it,
Yeah.
because it's just, and like with that print, for it to happen, if it would have happened 3 or 4 days later, I wouldn't have had a problem with it.
Ah,
But it happening overnight like that, it just didn't make any sense to me.
yeah.
And it's an obvious track. I even went back and took the boots I was wearing and took them out there, put it next to it. It's got a super aggressive sole on it. They're hunting boots.
Okay.
The it's completely flat, and it's even got a hump right where the mid tarsal break is, which we'll get into that in a minute.
Wow.
But I sat on it for a little while, to try to figure out. I wanted to see if it'll happen again. Well, guess what? Today, I'll put the video up after we get off. I went out there today and checked everything. Nothing happened. I mean, I didn't see any tracks, nothing like that. But I happened to notice that there's a branch that has been tangled up and laying in these vines. And these vines have been hanging there for probably 6 years, right? And it's all hanging down right next to the circle where the corn pile is. Well, I get to look and I'm like, why is all the vines are now on the ground and this limb is laying on top of everything and all the vines are broken up. So I don't know what happened. The only tracks that are out there overnight, because remember, yesterday I redid all the dirt. The only tracks around there were a little bitty baby deer. And then you've got this wad of vines that is now no longer hanging from the tree. And then the limb that was leaning up against it is now on top of everything. And it's not a heavy limb. It's not like it pulled these vines down.
Yeah.
To me, it looks like something like, I don't know if it stepped on it to get to the corn, or maybe something pushed it down to check. I don't know. It's all speculation, but it's in the video, all the before and after. Check
Okay.
the chat real quick.
Hey,
I gotta go back and forth with this on my phone.
John, did you see uh banner at the bottom?
Um,
All right.
what am I looking at? What do you mean?
Well, um, like the little blue banner.
It just says you're in the show.
Okay. This one, Johnny Twobears holding back good findings. You don't see that?
Oh yeah. Okay, I see
Okay,
that.
I'm just making sure. Just making sure because
uh,
the listeners get to see that too. But
yeah.
no,
Hey, that's
hey,
fine.
so I did pull up the juvenile print that your son, and was it nephew?
Yeah, my son and my
Um,
nephew.
so they found that. Then you use the Polycam app
Right.
that's on your phone, right? So
Right.
it's and you were able to make a good video. Could you show the foot length? Was it 9 inches or something like that? So
Yeah, I think it was around 9 inches.
yeah,
And I want to say like 3.9 at the toe. Now the thing, it's kind of hard to we had one or two guys. One guy I actually knew, and I might hurt some feelings with this, but I don't really care. Guy on Facebook, and I had dealt with him before. I'd seen him make comments with in other people's groups, and one particular comment. This is a while ago. This lady posted some tracks asking for people's opinions, and the guy, without asking one question, said that's a bear. Well, she came back and said, well, there hasn't been bear around here within 600 miles for like 300 years, something, whatever it was.
yeah,
Obviously, no bear in that area.
okay,
Well, I remember that dude. I didn't know he was in our group. Well,
okay,
he said under the comments that the track we found was human. And I told him, look, man, um, you might want to do a little more research into the variation of tracks when it comes to Sasquatch. And I knew exactly what he was going to say, and he said it. And he said that, well, it doesn't have the mid tarsal break. Well, there's a reason why when people put up, I just had a gentleman the other day send me pictures of tracks asking my opinion. And I told him, look, man, I don't, I try not to judge other people's tracks or structures from just pictures. Number
yeah,
one, I wasn't there. Number two, it's two dimensional. Number three, there's about 10 things that I need to know in depth. Like, are there a lot of people around? Is there a history of Sasquatch activity in the area? What kind of soil is it? Did anything else happen? All these other questions that I would ask, right?
yeah,
Because what are we claimed to be again? Researchers.
exactly.
So we ask questions. Well, I knew he was going to say, well, it doesn't have a mid tarsal break. Well, here's the deal. He obviously watched Dr. Jeff Meldrum talk on a TV program at least one time. And then he learned that nice little word, right? Well, good for him. The reality is that is true. If you get a really good track to where the Sasquatch stepped flat footed, so then you pick it up. In fact, the track from the corn pile, you can see the mid tarsal break in it. But here's the deal, as true as that is, probably 75% of the tracks found out there are not just flat footed tracks. These creatures, they spend a lot of time, what I believe and what we've seen, on all fours.
Horse. Yep.
And that's probably the whole reason why they had that mid tarsal break. Because you think about getting on all fours and just using your toes to brace yourself, right? Well, how much better would it be if you had a hinge in the middle of your foot, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that is very true. But the thing is, these creatures spend a lot of time on their toes, on the sides of their feet. They very rarely, I mean, if you find a real perfect track that's flat, then yes, it will have the mid tarsal break. But also, he didn't ask any questions.
Hmm.
It's on the side of an embankment. The toes are splayed like they've never been in a shoe. They're not. It's not a narrow foot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you can even tell that it squished the sand when its toes when it gripped.
So we got a comment. BFFG dash Bigfoot Research said, I would drop a deuce if a Sasquatch walks behind Johnny right now. The funny thing is, dude, I mean, we can't even see you, so we wouldn't know either. So
Yeah, I need to go get a light.
yeah,
But
you need to make a fire, get some kind of light on you because it's just like right now it's just
I can, man, but that would well, you answer some questions. I'll go get a light.
okay.
But I'm here in the corner of the yard hoping something would happen. But I'll be right back.
Alrighty. So hey, so so while Johnny's away, and I do want to share with you guys something. So here in the next few weeks, I'm going to be meeting up um, with a gentleman who was with a ABC organization, government organization. Um, we're going to go out and play some golf and whatnot. Have some drinks afterwards, and I promised Johnny that I am going to ask about the Kandahar Giant. If um, I would figure a CIA guy would who was in Afghanistan. Uh, you know, if he has any information on it, man, dang it, he's gonna have to spill the beans to me because this topic, I don't know why people are so interested in it, and then ever since Johnny brought it up to me, folks, and we had talked about it. We obviously we got a lot of emails, comments about it, which was interesting because I gosh man, Afghanistan seems like like a million years ago, and whatnot. And but anyways, um, uh, I went on like YouTube and the internet, and you just type this out. I mean, there's like articles and all these different things written about that one particular incident, right? And I think I saw a comment too after our last our video about it. Someone said that someone they knew was on the flight with the giant after they subdued it and it was flying it out. You know, I love that person reach out to Johnny Twobears, and elaborate a little bit more about that. Um, you guys could probably hear Johnny's one of his German shepherds in the back here barking. That's probably his early warning detection that there's something something roaming around out there. That would be neat, you know. Um, so that's another comment, folks, that I kind of want to bring up about uh, that I bring up with Johnny Two Bears a lot is that you know is it like a homeless camp back in the woods behind him. Are they coming up stealing his chicken eggs or whatnot, and you know, I always think, okay, he's got the wrong house, or that his is the wrong house to go steal anything from. He's got these three big shepherds, and then he's even got a litter of little puppies right now too. And a mama German shepherd is gonna be very protective of her litter. She's not gonna let anything happen to him. So thusly, I don't think that there's these homeless people back in the woods. Even though it's a joke, that I say to him all the time, but then he finds these tracks back there. It's pretty amazing. So, um, let's see. Flat Rocks say some also say they don't have arches. Come to find out, Shane Carpenter had been documenting arches from the juveniles. They are tracking for a few years.
well,
That's interesting to know. So
I don't know about Mr. Carpenter, but I can tell you Robert Kreider. He has an extensive collection of molds or plasters from trackways, and you can't tell they're not human. Like this whole that's why there seems like there's two kind of levels. There's a just the generalized idea of what people think Sasquatch is and what you think you're gonna get out of the evidence. And like I've been trying to talk about is trying to get people away from the idea that they're just this big lumbering walking ape that walks flat-footed like Patty through the forest, right? That's not what we've experienced. We've experienced an extremely agile, extremely fast, extremely intelligent creature that can hide better than anything we know, you know. And
yeah. The one we saw, Johnny, it wasn't. It wasn't an NFL linebacker or a defensive end. I mean, to me, it was not huge, like broad shouldered, thick neck. I mean, it was, I almost want to say, man, it was kind of slender.
oh yeah, the one we
Yeah,
saw at first definitely was. It was a
yeah,
lot, and it was even a lot smaller than the one that ran across the field, you know.
yeah, yeah,
But there's, and I think there was another comment too about so you're saying it's a juvenile because its feet are the size of a human. Well, yes, that's how you tell the age that these creatures have children, and their children. I have found back in the management area a couple of years ago, uh, 11-inch track with what looked like a toddler track in the middle of it in the wintertime, in the middle of the road.
hmm.
They have children, and their children, we don't necessarily, I don't, because I don't get a whole lot of tracks around here. There are people who have, within reason, tracked the how quickly they grow up, right? But we assume that they grow faster than we do.
Yeah,
So if it was the size of around the size of my 10-year-old son's foot, he's got about a 7.5. Then I would estimate maybe it's I don't
yeah,
know, maybe a 6, 8-year-old Sasquatch,
yeah.
something
Hey,
like that.
do you want me to play the? I mean, it's only like a minute 47 minutes, a minute 47 second video. The track you and the kids found in the creek.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that way people can kind of see it if you haven't seen it already, folks.
We're
But
gonna make sure we're
maybe
watching the
Did? Why did you tell me?
tracks
Because I thought
too.
it was just like a deer or something, or your footsteps. Could have been me.
Come over here.
Looks like the mango or anything. You got
Don't-
that looks like
don't touch
toes. And that looks exactly like that.
It is a foot. Put your foot over here next to it. Take your shoe off. So his foot's a 7.5.
Well,
Just do it next to it though.
like it's like my size. But neither of us were barefoot. None of us.
See how narrow his foot is compared to.
Yeah, I stepped right next to it though.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Do you think that's a big one?
Yeah, this hill back here is where they've been at.
Well, I didn't
Hey,
know that.
y'all, don't move. I need to be looking around some more. All right, well, as you saw, my son and my nephew were down here, and I came down here to get them. They've been coming down here the past 2 days, and that's not their track. Number one, they weren't barefoot. Number two, it's super fresh. Which is pretty cool.
wow, that was good. Good find by the kids.
Yeah, man, that was it's pretty neat for them to get involved, The and also when I put up the LiDAR image with the measurements,
Yeah,
that's just a guesstimation because you can tell the hill part is actually in sand and water. So there's no telling how much the hill part of that track deteriorated, right? And every time we stepped in the water, that water would lap up and get more in there.
yeah,
So there's no real way to know exactly how big that track was. That's just a guesstimation. I was going off the toes, the width of the toes. But now, is there a possibility that another human kid walked behind my property for whatever reason, yes, that is definitely a possibility. In fact, that is a possibility with just about every track you find. You know,
Yeah.
it's but at some point you've got to say, well, what else has happened in the area? What other kind of information do you have? So yes, I believe, within a reasonable doubt that that's most likely a Sasquatch track.
Well, Johnny, I think you need to go ask your neighbors, man, if their kid's been back in the woods or if their kid's shitting a pile of corn at night.
Maybe they're still in my car.
Yeah, I mean, hey, your kid, your kid, your kid got corn coming out. I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, folks.
You
For
people need to
language.
feed your kid.
Oh man.
Make sure we didn't miss any questions here.
Yeah. Okay. John, a question, Johnny. How about the depth on it? Did you notice how much weight it would take to make the same print? So
It would have to be bigger than my son because, well, actually that's just going to be a guess too, because we have no idea how hard. See, there's a lot that goes into this. We have no idea. Did the creature just step up there? Or was it running away
jump across
and
the
jumped
bank.
across and
Yeah.
hit the bank there? We don't know. So
Well,
weight wise, there's no way to tell.
How much your boy weigh when he was standing there?
Oh man, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
God, okay. Go ask Mrs. Twobears how much your son weighs.
She probably knows. She probably knows how much. She knows my social.
Yeah, she probably knows. She probably knows how much corn he ate.
She probably knows what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm gonna get in trouble when we're done with this.
Hey, so I do want to point out, dude, your attempt to go get some lighting.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, what is that? I mean, okay.
It's just a lamp, dude.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you still can't
That's
see
all
it
is.
We still can't see you, but that's fine.
But the important thing is, if the Sasquatch tries to walk up behind us,
yeah,
or behind me and eat me, well, then you'll definitely get the shadow of the creature. Hey,
right, if the light goes blank, we lost Johnny. So,
yeah.
So back to that track. So you use that LiDAR app, Polycam.
Mm-hmm.
What other features can you get with that? I mean, because I saw something like something on the video there where it says process. What does it like? Make a model or I don't know.
What it does is you scan it. You hold it over the whatever you're scanning.
Yeah.
You kind of spin around it to try to get all the different angles with the camera, and then after that you hit process, and it does a rendering inside the program of a 3D, which is, think about it, it's pretty cool that I didn't have measurements on me at all. The program itself only had my phone and the information my phone gave it to come up with accurate measurements when I did that at work. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So it came up with measurements through whatever data it collected when the operating system was going on, whenever I scanned it, and it processes. Now, afterwards, I've never done it, but you can actually take whatever it is that you've processed, and I don't know if you can send it directly to Polycam themselves or if there's another company, but you can have an actual 3D model made of whatever it is you scan. So that's pretty cool. So if I ever get like a really good castable, track, then I can actually have a 3D mold made out of it.
Hey, folks, that's good to know. That's actually that is really good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, and it's also a lot better than, or a lot easier than carrying around a bag of plaster with you, constantly.
Yeah.
So that's where it really comes in handy. Now I have some, but I don't ever bring it.
What is this, 1990?
Yeah, 1990.
I mean, come on. I mean, is this Finding Bigfoot era? Come on, dude. Move forward. I mean, not only did you get a good LiDAR image, but guess what? There's some lab in China that just got that too.
Oh yeah,
They're probably printing it off right now.
printing off Bigfoot molds right now.
Exactly.
Sell them back to us.
Hey, so uh, did you do the LiDAR app on the track by the corn pile that you have been holding from me and everyone else?
I don't remember. I will have to look.
You got to be kidding me.
I don't remember if I did or not.
You don't remember.
I'll have to look on the program. I don't know if I
One
can
of
do
the
that while I'm. I
one of
might
the
be able to look.
one of the greatest finds in Bigfoot history, and I can't
It
remember.
definitely was not the greatest find in Bigfoot history. All it is a decent track.
Ah, man. All righty, folks. That's as bad as not hitting the record button on the video
Yeah, I know.
when the juvenile walked out in front of us.
Jesus H. Hey, but speaking of technology, I've pretty much have the cameras narrowed down. I was going to drop about $4,000 on a thermal security camera to put up out here.
Mrs. Twobears said,
I want to stay married, so I'm going to try to stay around $1,500.
"That's good."
Yeah. So within the week, I should be ordering the camera, and then it
Now,
probably won't.
This is a security camera for your house or the area.
Yes.
An
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
Okay.
And I'm probably going to go with it's a PTZ, which pan, tilt, zoom. It's like a pill with a camera lens on it, and you can move it around 360 degrees up and down.
We don't call it a pill. We don't call it a pill, but it's a Tic Tac now.
Okay, Tic Tac. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm still stuck in the 90s.
You know,
I apologize.
I've watched the videos. They're calling it a Tic Tac UFO now. Okay.
Okay.
You're getting a Tic. You're getting a Tic Tac camera.
I'm getting a Tic Tac camera, but it's got a regular video on it.
Thermal,
which isn't the greatest. It's like 1080p, but it's got thermal on it, and the thermal is what I really need. So
it's not the greatest, but you know we're streaming in 720p, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
But it should have the distance on it to where I can set it up out here and then have it pointed
now
in whatever direction.
Now, can this be on at all times? You know,
yes.
So
it's just like a regular security camera, except it records in thermal.
So I wonder if we can. Is there a link where like you can go on your phone and look at it, or a link that you can share?
Yes. It all depends on. Usually with those things,
or you got to pay for the.
There's only so many. Usually with stuff like that, you got to have a code, and then you can only have so many at a time. But I don't know. I'll have to look into it whenever I get it.
Yeah, because dude, I mean, you know, again,
and think about it. Do I really want to give the code to a security camera that's in my front yard to a bunch of people? I don't know.
Dude, every employee at the shop in China's got the code. Don't worry. You know, I mean, don't worry, they all got the code. I mean, believe me, when you hit order, they ring a bell. You know, say we got one.
We got another idiot.
Exactly. But I mean, you know, they got cameras set up on cornfields, right? You can watch corn growing in some fields out in the Midwest, like 24/7, right?
Man, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, there's another site on YouTube where it's a deer feeder and a deer and a camera out there, and it's I mean, it's 24/7. You know, it could be 2 a.m. You might be a raccoon out there. 3 o'clock, there's a deer eating, but these cameras are always running. So I didn't know if that's like something where you know you might have the Sasquatch spy cam going. You know, the Tic Tac cam. That's what we're calling it, the Tic Tac
cam.
Yeah, I mean it's better than a balloon. You know. Yeah, people want to know how it works. You know, our good friend Skipper. You know, with her.
I miss this one. It says, on a side note, if the amount of money in your bank account was your social security number, how much money would you have? Nice try there, BM gamer. All right. Is it one of those cameras that auto zooms towards the motion? The way I understand how it works is it's got a program that you can program in all kinds of different ways. Like it's pretty sophisticated. It's the
So wait, wait a minute. So when Mrs. Two Bears is out there cutting the grass,
yes, I can
it
zoom right in.
it'll zoom in. It'll automatic track on her.
Another reason you people will not get the code.
Why? I'm just gonna say you should cut it shorter.
Yeah,
Johnny
you
says
supervise the grass.
yeah. Johnny says make sure you edge too.
Yeah. Hey, Soft Southern Night says I'm going to set bonfires this summer and set up GoPros. Hey man, get you some of those. You may already know this, but the battery packs. As long as you have like the max SD card and one of those rechargeable battery packs, you can run that GoPro for hours. I run them all night. When we were at the happy place, that's how we got a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and we do the same. You know, on the hunting show, you know, our camera guy brings these things, and literally, you're sitting in the blind for almost all day, yeah, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, all that just to get one shot, right? You know,
Right.
so and you know we got cameras out there all the time, so he's got those external batteries, you know. So
They
point.
really come in handy.
Yeah, yeah, you know, so.
So BFFG Bigfoot Research. I just bought a parabolic that records for 5 hours. That'd be pretty good, especially a parabolic.
Are you still using yours, Johnny?
My little cheap one.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I still take it out with me.
Okay.
Mess around with it. And I mean, for what it is, for $40, it actually works pretty decent. And that was we had some weird stuff happen with it. We don't really do woo, but we had some weird stuff happen with that parabolic out there at the happy place. Like
Okay.
we would point it all around, right?
Uh-huh.
Everybody would use it, and it would only make like this squalling noise when they would point it at me. And I could take everything out of my pockets, no gun, no nothing. And if I would walk in this one part of the woods, they would point it at me and it would make this squalling noise. We never could figure out what that thing was. But then again, it's all electronics. Electronics act weird.
It's probably because you drink jet fuel all day too. So.
Probably so. I probably have more aluminum in me than a Coke can right now.
Okay. What is a parabolic? Skipper D's asked, what is a parabolic? And not thermal. So a parabolic.
A parabolic is a listening device. There's several different types. The one I have is just a cheap one. You hold it's got a dish, which is called a parabolic dish, and it's got a microphone in the middle of it. And like the one I have, you pull the trigger and it turns it on, and you can hear everything around you real good, or whatever you point that parabolic at. There are some really good professional ones. Again, Robert Kreider, he actually makes a really good parabolic. It's pretty expensive. I think it's $500, $600, $700, $800, something like that. But it'll go to, I think they were saying they could hear stuff up to maybe it was either a mile away or 3 miles away, something ridiculous. But it's basically just a really good listening device. Skipper, I don't know what the next part was, not thermal.
Yeah,
I don't know what that meant.
I think she was wondering what parabolic was. So you kind of hit it right there.
Patrick Noble asked, have you seen the Knight Rider thermal camera? Yes, I have. The one that I guess you can either put it in your vehicle or you can mount it on I guess you could mount it on Joe's tank
chair.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen that before. Okay, look at Cole. We talked about that. That was awesome. Yeah.
So Barry Browning just said a parabolic microphone is a microphone that uses a parabolic reflector to collect and focus sound waves onto a transducer. Thank you.
What he said.
Yep.
Much better.
Yeah. Someone says, when I grow up, I want to buy a Kreider parabolic.
Yeah, you and me both.
Okay. Flat Rock. Johnny, do you have any hesitation when it comes to bringing them close to your home using corn piles?
No, not at all. I've heard the whole, you've heard from several people that don't feed these things, blah, blah, blah. If you stop feeding them, they'll get mad, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. If I gave them something that was really a staple that was keeping them alive, then yes. But as far as bringing them close, you got to remember, I just got a recording from 2 weeks ago where I'm laying on my couch and I hear them talking outside, and come to find out, they're on my back deck talking, most likely looking in my window. So it's, which was actually, and when I heard that recording, I knew I had it recorded before I left. When I got home, what I didn't realize, when you play the original recording, you can't really hear it, but you hear a little something and then the dogs bark. Well, when I went through and put it in the program and enhanced it, and then you hear the syllables, like I literally got an adrenaline rush, thinking that, Jesus, man, that thing was standing on my back deck, most likely looking at me, because I was laying there on the couch. I did something abnormal. I got up, instead of getting ready for work, I went and laid down on the couch for 20 minutes. I don't know if that's why the coffee pot wasn't running. There was no noise. Didn't have a TV on. Wasn't looking at my phone. Nothing. Just laying there. So I'm not really worried about bringing them in close. Now, I will tell you this, though. Right now, we have a good arrangement. I don't trust them, as in, I don't know what they're capable of. I don't really know what their intentions are. But if they ever cross the line, I'll turn my backyard into, the Ho Chi Minh Trail. I mean, I'm not going to put up with any kind of BS from them, any kind of violence, any kind of like intentionally scaring my kids or my wife, or just anything out of the ordinary. I have no problem standing out here every night with a shotgun and shooting at everything that moves if they cross the line.
So in all seriousness, no, man, you just brought up your family, and I think about this too. Since we've known each other, you know what, dude, you really have stepped up the amount of investigation around your property, the amount of findings you're getting around there. I mean, obviously, yesterday, dude, the kids went back and told your wife what they found.
Right.
How do they feel about that? I mean, obviously, the kids probably believe it. How's your wife? She coming around to this, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. And she actually, she's in the Facebook group, and she pays attention, and she talks to me about stuff, when people come in or whatever. And like today, she was saying that, yeah, make sure they know that when you say it's the size of your son's foot, tell him he's got a foot almost as big as mine. He's got a 7.5, which would be,
okay,
pretty big. So she's actually, surprisingly, it used to just be, just kind of like do your own thing. And now she pays attention more. And also too, now she believes me. I think that's probably what because for several years, even I wasn't sure if I believed myself.
Yeah.
I wasn't 100% sure. But it changes. It changes when I show her the thermal video that happens while she's standing out there with me.
Yeah.
Or I play her the audio.
I love those videos when you use her as bait, or whatever we're going to call it.
Oh, yeah.
The distance.
Oh, no, it's
object.
bait.
Yeah. The distance object.
Oh, yeah, the comparison shots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you go stand there to where it was. I'll stay on the porch. With
hey,
the
man,
light.
she's a trooper too, and she may not, and even back then, even when she had no interest at all and probably didn't even really believe me, she would still go out there in the woods and pretend to be a Sasquatch just so I could get comparison videos, So,
dude, that's a great. Swing your arms more.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I hope
Dude,
she's not.
I had her laying. Remember the time I was up in the tree stand coyote hunting, and I got the one on thermal?
Yeah.
Well, it's wintertime, and I got her laying behind a boulder, like on her stomach, doing like this. I'm like, okay, now crawl up on the boulder.
And that's a good woman right there.
She really is. I don't know what she was thinking when she married me. I really don't know. But
Yeah.
hey, I got
Now,
lucky.
so obviously they're with your work schedule, sometimes you're away from home. Hey, has she had any incidents or something? So, hey, guess what happened on while you're away? Yeah.
Yeah, not necessarily away. She had there was one evening where we talked about it, about the old car incident
Okay.
where there was something behind the car, and I walked her through coming out here and shooting out in the woods.
Yeah. Yep.
She had one night where they heard, I think the day before this happened, my brother-in-law was leaving, and he calls my wife and tells her, "Hey, you guys have something. I don't know what it is, but y'all have something really big in your woods, and it followed me when I was leaving." So apparently, whenever he left my yard and walked down the driveway to his truck, he had one that was flanking him out here in the woods. You know,
Want to make sure, or where he was going and he was leaving.
right? So, and see, I can't say I've had them flank me except for that one time, and whatever it was a month ago, where they got it behind me. I've
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
had them. I've never had them escort me like that. So that was definitely odd. And for him, and he's a hunter.
Yeah.
He's really big into bow hunting. But so it's not like he was just freaking out over something.
Hmm.
But he told her, he was like, "Yeah, there's something really big in the woods." And then a few days later, or it may have been, I don't know if it was the same night. I have to ask her. I think it might have been the same night. They were still hearing something out here, my wife and my sister-in-law. And I told her, I was like, "Well, will you go out there with your phone or your the phone recorder or something?" And she walked out here with it, and they stood here for a little bit. So, but she hasn't been messed with. She's heard wood knocks behind the chicken coop during the daytime. I think there's been twice where she's told me about that. Not real loud, but it sounded super close from what
Oh,
she said.
okay.
And so she definitely pays attention. Now, she would, if she had a choice and she could choose for these things to go away tomorrow, she probably would, because she doesn't, they do, she's uncomfortable with them only because she doesn't like anything that she doesn't understand like that. You know what I'm saying?
Dude,
Like it's just
yeah,
scary to her,
it's an unknown. We all
right?
feel
An
that way.
unknown, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Man. Okay. So that's
But
yeah. And your kids, anything? I mean, I mean, dude, they got a
kids are
place.
all into it now.
I mean, but they got a play set out back and all that. Have they
Oh
ever
yeah.
come running inside and said, "Dad, you know, this happened," or "I heard this," or anything?
What? Say that again.
Your kids
I
out
was
back
reading.
playing. Have,
Oh
have they?
no, they haven't. They
Okay.
haven't. It's only been since we had our sighting together out at the happy place that
Yeah.
I told my kids exactly what was going on around here.
Okay.
They knew that I was involved and that I enjoyed the topic and everything else, but they had no idea everything that was going on out here and all that. And
Wow.
but they just got a little older,
Yeah.
and then it just got to the point to where I'm not going to be able to hide it, and there's
Yep.
no real reason to. So we've talked about it, and I've told them, "Hey, look, if you're back in the woods, and let's say I've even ran through scenarios with them, you walk up on a young one, don't freak out. Definitely don't chase it. If anything, if you don't feel threatened and it's far enough away, you kind of bend down a little bit, get a little lower than it. But you don't want to present yourself as a snack. If you see a bigger one, don't run, but keep your eyes on it and back up, stuff like that." So it's just, and
That's
even that kind of stuff, we're all just guessing.
yeah.
I'm just trying to tell them the best I know how to do.
Man, that's interesting. That you've had that type of conversation and
And it's so weird, man. It's
yeah.
weird to have that type of conversation with it's still, even despite everything that I've seen collected, things you've seen, the people I know that've seen them, people I trust, the stories, the evidence. It's still just when I stop and think about it, it's still just amazing
Yeah.
that they're even real. But I don't know. Hopefully that never wears off. It's like kind of like being a kid.
Yeah. It looks like Skipper D had asked a question, what are crawlers? Obviously on all fours, right? She made a comment there about,
Whatever, said it was fast.
Yeah.
Knox moved from west to east in less than 15 seconds. Yeah, the old Skipper D's had a lot of
stuff going on.
A lot of stuff going on. Like she went from only like one or two things before to a whole lot of stuff. And I wonder what that's all about. I wonder if
an awakening.
Maybe her playing the vocals back or something like that. I don't know. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. So
she's had a lot of activity.
That's right. So and let's touch real quick on some of the recent things going on with the podcast. You've had some great videos. You went back out to the happy place with Hank.
Yeah. Went out there with Hank and Lloyd Urick. We met him at Molina Festival. I went out to his spot. He came out there with us. We didn't have the only thing that we had happen was when we all got there, we all got our gear on. We walked in the wood line and walked towards the creek, towards where like the boneyard area is, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got to the creek. We all turned around and faced the pipeline and spread out, and then we walked towards the pipeline. Well, they got up ahead of me, and then there's one point, I've got video from this. I stopped because there looks like there's a track in the pine straw. And while I'm looking at it, I hear what sounds like a vocal. I could have sworn it sounded like a yell, but I may have been talking at the time. I don't know. So I hear the yell. I say something about it. Hank and Lloyd have already crossed the pipeline. I get to where whenever me and Scott saw the one cross the pipeline on all fours, and then it took a right and then ran back towards the creek and then went in the woods.
Yep.
That same spot is where we came out. Okay. Well, right there where the wood line and the gas line come together, there was a squirrel right there, missing its belly and its head.
Yeah.
Well, Hank saw it. I whistled at him to see and I went like this, pointed to it. Well, he saw it. And we just continued on about our way. Well, when I got home, I went over the audio, and maybe I just hadn't got it right yet. But number one, I don't hear a vocal like it sounded in person. What I hear in the video is like a cracking, breaking, and then what sounds like something hitting the ground. And it's super obvious. It's definitely not from them. It's actually from they're off to like front right. And this noise came off from the left back towards the creek. So that was really the only interesting thing that happened. We found there's another guy that goes out there with us that he doesn't want to have anything to do with being on the podcast or people knowing who he is. But he found another 8-point rack out there. So that makes 2 8-points in a 10-point that we found in less than like a 5-acre section of that property.
Yeah.
Something like that. Found a lot more deer bones, few hog bones. Again, there's more bones out there than I've ever seen anywhere. But that was pretty much it. We had a pretty uneventful trip, just that one thing that happened the first day, and that was just speculation. Yeah. But good to meet somebody new, hang out with Lloyd, get to know him a little bit. Hank's finally done with his he was going to school from getting certain things for work and all that. So that was done. So he was happy to get out there. So but the one thing, I'll make it quick and we can get off. I gotta get ready for bed. But did I tell you about the guy we met out there?
No.
So we're all walking around at night with our thermals, and Lloyd says, "Hey, there's headlights." Well, I didn't see them. We're like, and it's back towards where we're parked down that road. So we start walking that direction, and one of them say something. I think it was Hank. He was using the ATN.
Okay.
And he says, "Hey, I got two people on thermal." About that time, I look, and maybe 50 yards ahead of us, I see them, two people. And then right after that, Hank says, "Oh, don't be pointing guns at nobody." Apparently, they lifted their gun up because they had I guess they had their thermal scope. Well, we didn't know who these people were,
Okay.
So we come together in the middle of the road and we all introduce ourselves. Well, this guy and his son are friends with the property owner, right?
Okay.
So we introduce, and we tell him, which is half true because we did bring guns to do this. We told him we were out there hog hunting. We didn't really know. I didn't know the guy from Adam, so I wasn't going to go into, all that. But he was super nice guy. And he's like, "Well, hey, guy, y'all want to come with us and we'll go. I know the code for this." Once I realized he was really supposed to be out there because property owner put up a new gate with a new lock and he had the combination for it.
Oh, okay.
And he knew all about him. So I'm like, all right, so he does know this guy. So then we got comfortable. We went to the other side of the field. We're looking for hogs, calling for coyotes, blah, 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 talking. And his son goes and walks to the car. And I'm like, "Look, man, now that we kind of know each other a little bit, let me tell you the truth." I said, "We are buddies with so-and-so.
Yep.
And we are out here hog hunting. But we started coming out here because we're Sasquatch researchers. And a really good friend of the property owner had an incident out here 30 years ago where we think he was actually carried off by one, carried 300 yards and put back in his truck while he was unconscious." The guy's like, "Oh, man, come on." And like all three of us, me, Hank, and Lloyd, are saying, "No, man, this is it." We all start. And he's like, "God, really? Really?" So like 5 minutes into the conversation, he's all about it. And he says, I could really see that they're them existing. I've never seen one, blah, blah, blah. Never had anything happen. And then after we got done hunting, he was like, "Well, what would I look for?" We started explaining some things. And I played Paula's vocal, and we played a couple other vocals. And he's like, "Man," he was like, "I have heard something like that before." Wow. Said, "I didn't know what it was, and I just kind of ignored it, but I have definitely heard stuff like that out here before." And I'm like, "Wow. I'm telling you, man." So
and you told him that those vocals were from out of state.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
wow. But yeah, it was pretty cool to meet somebody who had no idea really about the topic, but was open to listen to, and he knows the property owner, and he knows the property owner knows what we're doing. So he knows he's not full of garbage.
Yeah.
So, it went pretty good. I think he wound up joining the group. He wound up afterwards actually telling his son and about what we were talking about. We kind of kept it hush hush because we didn't want to freak him out,
Yep.
Young man out there trying to learn to hunt and everything. But
yeah. So you got another question here from Jeremiah. It says, "Question, Johnny, have you thought of sharing with your colleagues the shadow that creeped in and back out of the security cam video that has the audio that was recorded?"
Man, I can't. Even if it was a shadow, there's just not enough there to go on. And unfortunately, these cameras, and it's another reason why I'm getting better cameras. These cameras are just terrible especially when you're not using the IR. They've got they think they're being fancy. Their night vision mode with no IR or whatever. But you get these, it's almost like, especially if anything moves, it's like these waves. And I almost think it's moisture on the camera itself. But I know what you're talking about. And there is a point and I have to go back and look at, it's the the vocal from my back porch. There was nothing in there visually that I saw, but he saw a spot to where it actually kind of does look like there's a little bit of a shadow that forms and then goes away.
Huh.
But unfortunately, the camera quality is just not good enough for me to really stand on it. But I see exactly what you're talking about. And, you know, it could be, but it's just not good enough to be able to prove that, you know. Now, I haven't looked on it on a big computer screen. Maybe it's better. But let's see, Jeremiah said motion blur. You know, very well could be motion blur because the camera quality is just real bad, you know, and that's why it's good for vocals so far. But I was watching it the other day, and it wasn't even picking up motion of this bush that was just on the other side of the wind was blowing real bad, and it had this bush going back and forth, and it didn't even pick up the motion of that. So, but they're $30 cameras, so. But we're about to upgrade, so it'll be good. Night ride camera is just expensive. Getting 360 mode night ride cameras. Yeah, all the cameras that we need, they're all expensive. They're all $4,000. Any between the cheapest one's like $1,500. You know, and $1,500 to about $4,000 is what we're looking at. And I'm trying to get the best camera I can get for the money. But anyway, it was good. Good talking. Sorry we didn't have the guest for everybody, but you know that was impromptu anyway. You know?
Yeah, man, we're gonna get Mac, man. It'll be good, and we'll definitely make sure everyone knows about that one. So
yeah, and just let him know he's all he's got to do is tell his story. You know, take him 10 minutes. You know?
I mean, dude, I told him that. I said, dude, you don't have to wear a bag over your face, not like that. You know, he's good with it, man. He's good with it.
Well, cool, man.
You know what? So, man, you know, and so folks, obviously on the YouTube channel and stuff like that, you know, Johnny's been putting up a lot of great videos and things that are going on, you know, like right there back behind him, you know, and whatnot. And then Angie's she wrapped up her series with the women in the field that she was doing, you know. That was a little bit of learning experience for me, because you know there's topics range from a lot of varying different type of topics, you know.
Yeah, people probably forget that you're not exactly a Bigfoot guy.
You know, hey, no, so I mean, so this is what I tell every one of those folks, you know, like we spend a couple minutes before they come on, you know, and I want to hear, you know, a little bit about them. What do they do? You know, what do they do in real life, you know, and whatnot, you know, and, you know, I'll ask, you know, you ever see Bigfoot? And they're like, no. I said, well, man, shoot, I've seen two, you know, without even trying. Yeah, you know, you know, but I think so. You know, I mean, I learned
for our future guest, if you want to be made to feel extremely bad about yourself,
no, I'm just
come to the Sasquatch Encounter Brigade.
I'm not joking about that, but I'm like, hey, you know, I mean, you know, bring your A game.
Oh man,
yeah, but yeah, like the portals thing, you know, like man, just the other day, you know, like I was golfing with a buddy, and he listens and watches the videos, and you know, and you know, we're riding a golf cart, and he goes, man, I don't really quite understand this whole portal thing that you know, y'all talking about. And I'm like, whoa there, buddy. I said, don't be saying y'all. I said, I ain't seen one, right? So
well,
you know, so we're walking up on the putting green, right? And I had a ball in my pocket, a golf ball in my pocket, and I threw one down, and it rolled up close to the cup, right? He goes, what was that? I'm like, dude, a portal. Ball just came out of it. I'm using that stuff to my advantage, man. You know, but no, man, you know, it was some really, really great topics, you know, and man, it's like one of the guests, they had a cast that was made here in Georgia, and brought it to the Moline Bigfoot Fest. You were a speaker at, and you know, again, I was like, oh, okay, holy smokes, that's pretty cool piece of evidence that this lady, was willing to bring forth, and so if any of y'all out there have
Well,
something you'd like to
supposedly they
share.
have that whole portal thing on video, right?
Yeah,
Aren't they supposed to be releasing that?
yeah, I don't, man, I don't know if I
I
passed the test. I
I
think
can't I can't
Angie's got
remember.
invited. Yeah, I mean, Angie's been invited, to their out with him. I mean, I don't get those cool kid hangout things, you know.
Dude, you wouldn't go anyway. You last thing you want to do on your off days is sleep in a tent when you spend your work days sleeping in the tent, right?
Yeah, But anyways, no, you know what? I mean, if any of y'all who are listening tonight, man, have anything cool to share and would like to come on, obviously, you reach out to Johnny, or you can email us at theencounterbrigade@gmail.com. Um, uh, you know, again, I'm not an expert at these things. I've seen two. I think three is when you're, you know, bona fide, legit
Right.
expert. Yeah, yeah,
That's when you get your third Bigfoot stripes.
yeah, dude. I'm working in. They're called standing tabs. Okay, buddy. It's on Google. Standing tabs.
Standing tabs.
I'm sorry.
Is that a real thing?
No, but I'm
Oh,
not.
okay.
But hey, I'm claiming it. I'm
I
making a
honestly thought that was a real thing. That was pretty
I,
good.
I'm claiming it, and the t-shirts will be on sale tomorrow morning, folks.
Oh man, you're terrible. Speaking of t-shirts, what do you think the odds are of us getting enough of the t-shirts that you're getting us to actually sell to folks if they want them?
Yeah. So folks, real quick backstory. So, through work and affiliation stuff, I'm tied in, real well with True Timber Camouflage and whatnot, and slowly as, you know, you go from hunting show conversations to all of a sudden like, hey man, I do, I, I'm in the subject of Bigfoot, and let me show you these videos. Let me show you this, that, right? And man, I got this guy Jonny. He's in the field all the time, and so they're going to be supplying Jonny some camo, um, to start wearing. But you know what? They make believe it or not, they make the apparel for Jack Link's beef jerky, which I thought was kind of cool
What
because
a small world.
yeah, because messing with Sasquatch, they make a lot of t-shirts for Black Rifle Coffee.
Really?
Yeah, so if you go inside like a Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's and whatnot, all those shirts that are Black Rifle Coffee, and they're there. And so I actually spent last month down in Orlando, Florida, with a couple of folks from Black Rifle Coffee, and then here in 14 days, Evan Heffer, the president and the guy who started Black Rifle, is coming to Augusta as a guest of mine, coming to the Masters, so we're trying to figure out some cool things to do with some Black Rifle. But anyways, when I was talking about like, oh, their Tactisquatch t-shirt, and then they make the Tactisquatch coffee, and they're like, Joe, you got to call him Eric. That's his name. Like, really? So that's, if you guys didn't know, and if you guys are drinking Black Rifle coffee with the, and it's got the Tactisquatch, right? So the Sasquatch with the helmet and the nods
Name's
on.
Eric.
His name's Eric. But you heard it here first. You heard it from the Sasquatch Counter Brigade, because I count myself very blessed to have friends like that, that I mean, they're like, oh yeah, I mean, his name's Eric.
Oh, yeah. His name's Eric.
So I keep on thinking, I said, gosh, I said one of these days I should really like make an effort, like doing like one of these conventions, because I've already got commitment that, yeah, you want Eric to come, we'll get Jack Links out there too. And I said, man, we'll have a Squatch battle, a Squatch in the ring, and yeah, but no, yeah, I think we could probably do some t-shirts, and maybe do some giveaways.
People have been asking about them. I didn't.
I'm not an apparel I'm not a big apparel guy, but I know people who are.
Yeah.
So
Well, we'd have to find a better way than me and my wife, you
Oh
know,
yeah, we got it made. We got it.
doing all the. We're gonna have to have them made,
Yeah,
even though
yeah,
it's gonna cost a little more because it's just I
yeah,
don't have enough time to barely do what we're doing now, and then you
yeah.
add, trying to make T-shirts. It's just
Well, maybe we could make a poll on the group Facebook page, like, hey, who would be interested in something cool? Now, years ago, I mean, this is, I don't want to brag, but I did design the I Believe Bigfoot shirt, um, that grunt style apparel. So
oh really?
yeah, that was me.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I don't know if you got one, but yeah, that was
No, I
me.
don't. I don't have one,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. It was just it was a one-time run only, and so I was in San Antonio, Texas, and so y'all know I was contracted with Gun Style to do some events for them and whatnot, and some outdoor stuff. So they're real big in MMA, right? Sponsoring MMA fighters, and there's this one female fighter down there in their headquarters in San Antonio, and she had her agent there, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna, we want to make a shirt like her commemorative special edition shirt, right?" And I was like, "Okay, I want a Bigfoot shirt, right?" And dude, none of the folks at Grunt Style, they kind of took me serious, except for like one of their head salespeople and one of their designers, and they pulled me aside like, "Joe, well, let's just make one, right?" And my good friend, God bless her, she was like the chief of staff to the COO, Tim Jensen. Tim Jensen, who's the Grunt Style first sergeant. He's a good friend of mine. But anyway, so they secretly did this, right? And they put it on their website, for a pre-sale. Dude,
really,
they sold out, right?
oh
Sold out,
man,
right? So
that's excellent.
yeah, dude, it was just it was a Bigfoot carrying an American flag, right? It says "I
Right.
believe," right? That was it, Um, I probably got one. Yeah, I probably still got my shirt upstairs in the closet somewhere. But anyways, the MMA lady who's big time, big name, and all that, she only sold 2 shirts. So
Oh no.
yeah, so I always get to rub that.
uh,
I always get to rub that in the Dan Alaric, their former CEO. That man, look, should have listened to me. My people, my Bigfoot people.
your people keep the
Yeah,
company afloat.
exactly. But hey, man,
uh,
thanks, Johnny. Thank you for everyone that joined in, man.
yes, I greatly appreciate everyone who participated, and
And hey, and please put up the corn pile footprint. I mean, now that the cat's out of the bag,
cat's
and
out of the bag. Yeah,
dang it.
I know. Hopefully everybody understood. It was just a little too much, man. It was like, it's not that I didn't believe it, but I tell you this: if I was watching somebody else's channel and some dude put out a corn pile and then put dirt out, and then the next day he had a footprint, I'd be like, man, this guy's full of shit, you know.
Johnny,
So,
Johnny, let me just if you put a sand pile in front of the register at Chick-fil-A, how many footprints you think you get it there?
oh, a whole bunch.
There you there you go. All you're doing is just
I just
appealing,
didn't think they'd fall for it, man.
dude.
But they did.
Hey,
So,
and that's good.
yeah, it's good.
Please put it
I don't
up.
know why I'm complaining, but I'll
I
put it
know.
up.
Yep. Thank you, folks.
All
And
right.
till next time. Bye bye.